They say this is a big rich town. I just come from the poorest part. Bright lights, city lights, I gotta make it, this is where it goes down. I just happen to come apart. Legal or illegal, baby, I gotta make it.
Welcome back to another episode of Power After Hours, your favorite power podcast. I'm your host, Jeff J, joined by the incomparable Krissy Bree on the other side of the screen. This week, we're talking Power Book 2 Ghosts, Season 1, Episode 4, The Prince. Krissy, what's going on?
Man, what's good? I feel like, the year's flying by. Like, we're going through these episodes. It's great. I'm happy. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Like, they already talking about mid-season finale. And I'm like, damn, we just started this.
When I saw that, I was like, are they for real?
Yeah, you know, if one thing Power loves is a good mid-season finale, or we take 3 weeks off before the last episode of the season.
I'm wondering, like, if COVID had anything to do with that, too. You know what I mean?
I did see that they were shooting. I think they're finishing up this season, so they're probably gonna take a break and then or a couple of weeks. I don't know how that's gonna work because we really don't find out a lot of that stuff until closer to the date. So as always, when we know, y'all will know, and you can find that out by following us at Power After Hours on Twitter and following the Power After Hours hashtag because we try to keep you as up to date as possible. Let's get into the Prince. The Prince. Machiavelli, not to be confused with the allegedly late great Tupac Shakur.
I knew you were gonna bring that up. I knew it.
The allegedly. I only say I mean allegedly in the late because it's like every 5 years we find out that I think he's in Tulum now.
I mean, he might be, that's where everybody at. So he might be hanging out there. There's always something popping up with that guy. But yeah.
So there's a lot of things to get into. What'd you think about this episode, first off?
I thought it was really good, very telling. We learned a few secrets in this here episode, which I've been waiting to find out. Because I think literally last week I brought up a few of them and I was like, I need to know. And they cleared it up in this episode. So overall, I really think they found their stride. Like I'm in. Like this show is good. Like I'm actually like surprised by how good it is.
Yeah, it's funny that this Ghost kind of moves at a faster pace than at least towards the end OG Power did because they're resolving a lot of stuff quicker, introducing new things, and a lot like this episode had a quick pace. A lot of stuff happened in this episode. When you think about it, like just looking back from a full perspective, like a lot of things happen. We could go a whole directions. Let's go with the fact that Tariq, this dude, he figured it out.
He's smart.
He figured it out. And we were wondering why. We were wondering how he was going to move the product on the campus, right? And I'm thinking, okay, they're selling them in parties or doing whatever. I didn't know that they were going to go to this level where he creates an app to like the Uber of tutoring.
Yeah.
The Uber of tutoring.
Study guides.
But it's undercover for you to sell whatever drugs people want. And I thought the concept is cool because they're making he's literally learning and evolving from what Ghost and Tasha did, where Ghost was using truth as a front for his illegal activity. It was washing the money in the club, but he really wanted it to be a legit business. Whereas Tariq, he wants it as a front for what he's actually doing. I don't think that at the end of the day, he's waking up like, yo, this course correct shit can really be the next Uber. He's like, yo, I just got to move this. But he also keeps that tie to possible legitimization by getting the Sterns into it.
Which I thought was brilliant. Because at first I was like, who is this character? I was like, who is this? And then they show the pictures and he explains himself. But I love that Tariq is basically the modern day drug dealer, right? Like, whereas Ghost and them, like you said, they had guys on the streets, like pushing product. Tariq is doing this through an app. which everybody knows their kids are always on their phone, especially this generation. It's the smartest thing you could have done. And you started by letting, your most outspoken people know what it is that you're doing. They're going to pass the word and you're going to be able to get more money, to the point where they were moving so much, they ran out of product. So I think it's brilliant how Tariq has set it up. And I love how they keep giving us that angle of him standing high up somewhere and he's looking down amongst everyone that's there, whether it be the students or at a party where he sees everybody there. I love how they give us that angle because it really does show you kind of what Ghost used to do at True, how he would stand up and watch everybody. So I kind of love how they're tying the two in together. But I think that Tariq has actually figured out a more strategic way to move product. It's brilliant.
Right. So we get introduced to Bash, who's Simon Stern's husband now. Because in the previous series, he was married. He had his wife, but then they got divorced. So I guess he ends up getting remarried to this guy. And it's unclear what his role is, because I guess he was looking to link up with Stern about this idea, but the husband Bash stepped in, and of course you could see how the negotiation comes in. Like, we don't know what his ultimate motive is, but he's trying to make these moves with whatever the business is, because Stern seems like he's one of those like Warren Buffett types that just has his hand in a bunch of different industries. Yeah. But Bash is the person that can code, that can market, that can take an app to the next level. And he's more or less extorting Tariq to make money on the side to keep it hush-hush, because he knows that Stern may not really have went for it originally. But there's something in me that tells me that Stern would have eventually did it if he knew that it keeps Tariq in school. It helps him to graduate so that he could get truth once this inheritance comes in. But I think that dude is something to watch, because even when Tariq has to eventually legitimize the money that he has coming in and gets the wire, he knows he's playing that game. He's playing that game where, all right, you really need me, you're going to have to pay for it. Like, that's just what it is. And Tariq is making this money. And it's after all of this, all of the sales and everything are going to be done, he's still going to have enough. He's still going to have enough, and he's managing it, but he's making it happen. What did you think about his the way he eventually gets Scott, the local, like the biggest drug dealer on campus, gets him out of here, that plan that he had?
At first, I was like, what is he doing? Like, why are you putting your boy on Front Street like that? First of all, Buddy got hands. I didn't know he had hands like that.
Braden be throwing him, yo.
Like, he literally just attacked and looked back at the girl like, yeah, I got this. Like, he's much bigger than I thought he was. Like, when I noticed him throwing punches, I was like, oh, okay. But I thought it was done in a smart way, kind of like how old girl got Tariq kicked out of school. I think it was Cho at that time, got him kicked out of Cho. So almost he kind of took that, that angle of getting him kicked out of school for fighting, and obviously it being one of the big time names of the university. You just don't put your hands on them. So old buddy's gone, and now they are the go-to guys in this game. And again, even though he's not Ghost, nobody knows what Tariq is doing. And I think that's even smarter. He doesn't need a name like Ghost. He's just Tariq. But nobody knows that it's him pushing product. It's smart.
Right. And even when the app gets too hot, because he wanted it to be low key, and once it got too hot, it's just like, yo, you're just gonna have to get more product. That's just what it is. He's smart in the sense that, and they planted that seed earlier, where you see that Braden's family are made men on that campus because they donate so much, that if you have the people who donate the money to the school going to the school, yeah, they're untouchable. That's just what it is. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. That's just the world we live in. Them guys are untouchable, or they can make it so that they don't get into too much trouble. So he used that privilege that Braden has to set Scott up, because he knew that the minute he got into a fight with a Weston, he was going to get suspended. So now he's suspended off campus for a little while, which means Tariq will be the only plug.
Yep.
And therefore controlling the market. And that's what you remember earlier in the series, he says, you know how Dad used to say there's only two ways there's two ways you end up in that on that path to the street shit, dead or in jail.
Yeah.
The third path, it looks like, is mixing legitimate business with the least risk possible to be killed or to go to jail, which would be selling on a college campus. He ain't dealing with no street dudes, not at that school. Not at that school. He's not dealing with street dudes or anybody like that. Or the major competition he had was Scott, who he could get out expeditiously. Right. And now he's controlling. I mean, it's it's a beautiful word. It's a beautiful word. But hurriedly. So he gets him out of there, and now he has full control, at least for the time being. And you know, at the end of the day, even I saw some people talking about whether or not it was feasible to think that people could move weight through an app. And I'm like, well, you know, there's apps out here now that you can buy weed and all this stuff like on the app. It's really like a if you know, you know. And and what's smart about what Tariq is doing, they're giving lesson plans with the drugs, so they can never, you can never say that they weren't selling the tutor plans. They are giving the plans. You're just getting drugs with them.
Yep, it's brilliant. I mean, I honestly, as it was happening, I was like, wow. But I think for me, I'm always that mom, right? So I'm thinking, okay, so what happens if somebody overdoses and the parent becomes irate and wants to know how this happened? You know, that could be a blowback for him because, once again, he is the only person on campus that is doing it that we know of.
But nobody know. We know. We know that he's doing, but nobody knows. And here's his empire is the updated version of what Ghost was doing, because he has the Primeras, which are the kids who are the financial aid kids who are moving these drugs to the students. So what happens? Let's say somebody does overdose, right? And they find out that they got it through a lesson plan. The kids who delivered them are on the hook. Yeah, they could try to dime it out, but at the end of the day, all Tariq has to say is, this was a legitimate business. I hired them to deliver. I didn't know what else they had in there. All I knew, the premium package was for a certain syllabus, a certain plan. This is what my business is. I didn't tell nobody to sell no drugs. That's all you got to say. Plausible deniability, because they don't have any, because Braden was the go-between. Yeah, that's true. All he has to do is claim, Braden can just claim, I was the one who hired them. And I'm not the one who told them to sell drugs. So... Right. Which is the risk that you take if you're selling drugs for somebody else.
That's true too.
You know what I'm saying?
So I think Tariq is just a more advanced version of what Ghost didn't want to do. Like they wanted, you know, Tommy would always suggest things to Ghost to make the game better or to make it easier or smarter. And, you know, Ghost was just that old school mentality. Like, what's the point? Or he just didn't want to do it. So I love that Tariq is essentially doing what's needed to be done to keep the game alive, just in a smarter way with kids that are rich. You know what I mean? These kids are rich. They have the money. That's not the issue. So I just love that how he's moving it and able to stay as a ghost and no one really knows who he is.
Right.
And shout out Keisha, who is playing the role on Power. She was the girl in the classroom that was talking to Lauren. I can't think of what her name is on the show.
Light-skinned Keisha?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget. They said it before. I'll look it up while we talking. But
they made fun of her name in the class. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. It wasn't last.
It was 2 days. Yeah, it was because it was 2 days.
But love seeing her, you know, dabble in acting. You know, she's ATL, everything. So it's good to see her, which is where I live. It's good to see her on screen doing that. I think that's pretty cool.
Everybody know you live in. You know what I'm saying?
No, they don't.
Well, now they know. So my joke still hits.
Just because you know, Jeff, gosh.
This is also true. This is also true. There's so many places to go with this episode. I will say with what you said about Ghost. The other thing was he legit considered his business legit.
Oh yeah.
So that's another reason why he didn't want to do certain things. He's like, you know, I have a business to hold, and everybody keep telling him like, my man, you sell drugs. Like, this is not a really
killer. Like, and that's the thing. Tariq knows who he is too. You know what I mean? Like he just knows who he is. And I just love how they're doing this show. They're not leaving us anything. Yeah, they leave us wanting more, but they're not leaving gaps in the storyline. There's nothing that I'm watching week to week that is leaving me to be like, well, why didn't they do this or why didn't they do that? It's just that good right now.
Right, 100%. So the other thing that we get here, there's like a lot of minor, major revelations that go on. We still get the dynamic with Monet where she tells her family. She formally tells her family that they're in business with Tariq. Yeah. And it's funny like to hear Kate. He's like, we doing business with that Bougie motherfucker. And it's funny that he considers him bougie because he goes to Stansfield not knowing what his background is. But in a sense, Tariq was never really on the block like that. No. So I get it. Like I get what they're saying, and she's still like too, bruh. It ain't like he's on the streets really either. Yeah, he's dealing with drug dealers, but they got a nice house, they got nice cars. Like somebody could look at him as bougie as hell too. Yeah, but you gotta tell him that to his face. And I'm not doing it. I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna happen. But yeah. So Monet is still trying to build out the dynamic of what the future business is going to be. And they're saying that they need to check up on Tariq and do all of that, so asking everybody what they think. And you see where she was talking she wants everybody to know their role and to stay in their lane. She tells Kane that, like, Kane, certain stuff you good at. You good at pressing people. You good at beating down the GTG when they come out their face, just like when they did. And she laid down the law, and they try to curse at her in Spanish, like she wasn't married to a whole Dominican dude for years. Yeah. And Kane whooped his ass. It's like, you are the hammer. You're the hammer, right? Like, you be the hammer. Like,
he thinks they're partners. And I think that's where Monet has to stay, because he was like, I thought we were partners. And she was like, hold on, we're not doing that. I love that how Monet is, iron fist. She definitely keeps everybody in their place. But I just wonder what her weakness is, because everybody has one. And I think we're going to learn that over time. But I definitely love how she put him in his place when he said they were partners, because Kane needs to realize, you may be the closest one to mom, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be running things in the end.
Right. Light Skin Keisha's name is Bruchandria Carmia. Like, yeah.
I was never going to remember.
They try to say some funny shit to her. She was like, it's 2 days. Like, the way she broke it down was hilarious. But that's the other thing. It's like, you're doing business with your parents. She's like, in business and in life, like, this is the hierarchy right now. Yeah. And the other thing is, her kids are still kids, right? Kane is probably the one that's the most grown up. Like, we don't see what his life is outside of like getting some head in the bathroom, whatever. But we don't see he doesn't have, at least we don't see him yet. They haven't shown if he has any aspirations outside of what they do. I think this is what he has, and this is what he does. Where Drew, you could tell he had ambitions. He was into art and all of that. And Diana wanted to go to school too. So, when she sends Drew links up with Tariq and ends up in his art class. And, not only is ended up in
for that one.
What's up?
So let me straighten up my glasses for this here.
Ends up in the art class, and you could tell that he had some type of interest in art when Tariq brought it up at the dinner. Right. But he's actually a really good artist, and you also find out that he's gay too, because he links up with the ball player, draws him, and then goes back to the room, and they get it going. And it's something like, because that's something that's, I think, big for Power, because we haven't really seen that. I don't think not like that. We haven't
with the main character.
Not with a main character, right? Or like a prominent character. So that's something that's like huge for the show, and it adds another dynamic. As a mom, what did you think about that conversation Monet and Drew had in the shower? Because just to build it up, just to go, because he goes out there. He loses Tariq because he goes to slide off with the basketball player, and he loses Tariq and has to call Diane to go up to Tariq's spot to go hold him down with the extra product. So when he comes back and he's in the shower, Monet and him have that conversation. What did you think about that conversation?
That was the most motherly that I've actually seen Monet in all the episodes, because I felt what she was saying, you know. And I think it actually also played into the overall theme of this episode with the book. So, you know, just letting him know that, yeah, maybe your family, you know, always come home. We may understand you in this realm, but with your dad wanting you to lead this company, when you step outside this house, they aren't going to understand you. They are not going to take you seriously as a man. She knows the game and she knows the people that they deal with. And unfortunately, the stereotype is there for a man who, you know, is gay. And it's sad. I do feel bad for Drew, because I do believe he wants to live his own life and do the art thing. But, you know, you can't do that when you have a family like where you came from. So I was shocked to find out that Monet knew. That was the most shocking thing to me. I think when she saw that picture, in a way, she knows who her son is. And I think that's also partly why she's telling her husband, he's not built for this. I think it's just, it adds to that conversation that they had on the phone in the previous episode. This is not Drew's world. This is not what he's meant to do. And if you're going to force him to do it, he's not going to live up to the expectation of what you think he can do for you. Right. So I found that talk, as short as it was, to be probably the most poignant point that Monet has made throughout all these episodes. Like that was the most motherly I've seen her. And I think I even said last week, like, she's yet to act like a mother. She's not doing that. But in that moment, she knew she couldn't be hard with Drew. She needed to be that mom that he needs and help him understand the world that he's living in.
Right. And there were multiple parallel conversations going, because even when she said, when you step out into that world, right? She's talking about outside of their house, but probably also the worlds of being gay, being LGBTQ community, and being in different worlds. Like, even she was just saying certain things without being explicit with it, which was, and saying it with love too. So she was like, you know, no man is like the men in your family, right? And it's almost similar to kind of like what moms would give their sons, the conversation they would have with their sons talking about women. Yeah. Right. Like, yo, you know, like, so, you know, moms will say something like, you know, don't think that, you know, all women are the same, like, you know, break it down in that regard. But she said it without having to say it and put his sexuality in his face and like show it like, hey, I know that you're gay and everything, blah, 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 blah. She's just like, yo, they don't understand you the way we understand you. You gonna have to come home. Like, just be careful out there, because not only can you not play in those different worlds of having this whole life, if we want you to run this business, you can't have dual lives. Nope. The same way Ghost really tried to have a dual life and he couldn't have a dual life. Yeah. And I don't know if she's telling him that you can't even have a dual life of presenting as, because I don't know if he's closeted or whatever, right? So it's like, if dual lives are not going to be successful or conducive to this drug game, but if you try to live it.
People have dual lives on this show, though.
Right.
See, that's what I found really interesting. You bringing that topic up, is we saw quite a few dual lives happening in this episode. So I was like, damn, like, not only is it straightforward to the point of what they're trying to give us, there are so many pieces around that one topic. Like, so for you to say that just really brings up how many secrets were, you know, brought to our attention in this episode. You know, Drew living his life and not being able to really be who he wants to be because his family, you know, the drug game is not built like that. And, you know, it's not, nobody is going to understand his lifestyle. We know that, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I just really found that interesting, how the talk she had with Drew really resonated through every single character, you know, in this show, with Lauren, with Maclean. I mean, everyone is living double lives in this episode.
Right. And it's funny because I don't know if because Monet says your father may think you're a little too soft, right? Like, he mentions the father, but the father, maybe that is a concern of his, or maybe that's a concern of hers, right? And yeah, to your point, everybody's living a dual life, but and think about the multiple lives we live.
Yeah,
like everybody has a different face for every different facet of their life, right? You don't know every single thing going on in somebody's life, and they have to present themselves in different ways. So Drew is gonna have to figure it out. He's gonna have to figure out, can he live those lives? What does he really want? And Monet, as a concerned mom and as somebody who knows that the game is the game, it's probably better if you concentrate on one thing or just keep it in mind what you do. Because this is also, his mom is saying that while she's sleeping with the cop, while the father is in VIP maximum security prison.
He's in prison. I don't know where he's at.
He's in the Four Seasons Rikers. You know what I'm saying? And still can control stuff on the outside, right? So she's living a dual life herself. And I think it's the hubris we all have where I can do that. I can make it work. I don't know if you can make it work. You, my kid, I don't know if you can make it work. I'm figuring it out. I want you to do better. So that, it's speaking of those dual lives. Ooh, Jabari and Carrie.
Everybody got a dual life.
Jabari and Carrie.
That was a lot.
This whole thing with the fellowship and going over to Lauren's house for the dinner and them actually having this catty ass back and forth and the conversation, that whole conversation with the dinner and everything like that whole scene was hilarious because first off, Lauren's parents, Lauren's mom is a different type of bougie. Different type of bougie.
Really saying that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
It's like,
also black, ma'am.
yo, right. I'm like, yo, Lauren, is your mom white? Does she have like a lot of foundation on? Like, what's going on? Like the way she talking.
Okay, just because you're rich does not negate the fact that you are still black.
Listen,
ma'am.
she got that money where she was like, I ain't a nigga no more. So we ain't gonna.
And yes, you are, ma'am. Yes, you are. Okay, and I was waiting for somebody to put her in her damn place. Yes, you are.
From saying that Tariq was on, as we like to used to say, colored people time. It's like if Braxton from Jamie Foxx was like, was his mom. That's exactly what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, and just the conversations that we, the title of the episode was The Prince. Them having that conversation about Machiavelli, where the mom calls him a sociopath, like a great sociopath. And Tariq just says, yo, this is just a guy who identified his enemies and decided to take them on directly rather than wait for them to storm the castle. And he has that perspective. And once again, the books that they are reading tie directly to aspects of his past, where you think about season 2 in Power. Ghost dealt directly with his enemies by taking down his own organization and killing the folks that were compromised so that he can survive and that he could be better. And with Tariq, he takes out Scott. Scott was the main competition. So before you get got, you take out Scott, right? Like that's just what has to happen. And he's looking at this even with this competition. He tells Lauren, like, yo, I'm competing. I'm competing. Like, this is what it is because I got to get out in 3 years. Yeah, you need this. Yeah, you want to be in DC, but I need this too for more reasons than you know. But what did you think about the back and forth between Jabari and Carrie?
I was like, are they really doing this at a dinner table? Like, I couldn't believe the things they were saying. Like, and it was blatant. Like, if you have any type of common sense, you know what they talking about. Like, she's basically, talking about how his second book didn't do so good and making him feel less than. And then here he comes with the clapback. I'm like, these two are adults who clearly have a lot of unresolved issues. They may need some counseling at some point. I don't know. But then we kind of learned that those type of heated arguments brings on some type of sexual prowess and chemistry from Carrie. It's like she needs him to be that tough and rough with her for her to feel appreciated. It's very weird. Whatever therapy she's in, it's not working. She needs a different therapist. I'm really not sure.
Right.
But really surprised at them as the leaders at that table, the two people who are supposed to be making the decision on who gets this fellowship, and they're acting like the children.
Right.
It was awkward.
Yeah, and it's little things, because the whole thing with the novel came out when the father was asking about the second novel, and she was like, yeah, it came and it went. He's like, yeah, I got my third novel on the way. They start talking about Tariq's parents' case, because we forget that this is a high profile case. This is a super high profile, so it's in the news, so everybody knows. And he's like, you got Davis Maclean, that's a real good attorney, and Jabari's like, Davis Maclean, right? So there might have been something there with Maclean and Carrie. Then he talks about the vigil, the ill-advised vigil, even to the point, like, they just keep going back and forth to the point where Lauren and Tariq slide off. Now, the funny thing about Lauren and Tariq, apparently one of the reasons why Lauren wants to escape, one, because she had a brother who is in rehab due to the pressure that the parents put on, and also because she got a man in DC. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's one of those, oh yeah, you definitely got a man. You definitely act different out of town than you do at home, because I mean, like, yo, when he pulled up with the glasses, with the flowers, I screamed.
Was supposed to bring some damn flowers. So I was like, bruh, this is all bad. Like, and you can tell she's trying to conform to what her parents want her to be. Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, she's a very smart girl, but I think there's a part of her that's not able to live her life, and she sees that potential life with Tariq. And that's what's so appealing to him, is she sees how free he is, not really knowing he's really not. And she wants to be a part of that. She wants to have that type of life where I can be late and I'm not expected to be perfect at all times at home and at school. And I was laughing at how perfect her boyfriend is. Like, he talked so proper, and it's so good to see you. I can't wait to marry your daughter. And, and it was just so awkward. Like, nobody's asked me yet from the dad. And I'm like, this is what y'all are like really tripping right now. It was like a whole different world.
What was that accent?
Double life, like even Lauren.
What was that accent, V? Is that your orphan black accent? Your daughter.
Don't do orphan black, because that's my show. Don't play me like that. I got made fun of so bad because I watch BBC shows, and orphan black was
I'm telling you, I'm gonna start calling you Lady Krissy of House Atlanta.
Yes. I love the accent. I want to move there. So yeah, I just found that odd that he spoke so perfect. But that dinner table was a mess. Lauren is also a mess, which we learned. Somebody that's so put together all the time in school. We see
she's also a kid. She's also a kid. She's 18. She's also 18 years old. And I love how Malcolm thought that she was a high school kid that he was tutoring, looking at Tariq like, oh, this little nigga, like, oh, this is one of your kids. It's so good. He's like, no, Malcolm, let me make you a plate. Let me pull you up. And Tariq is like, it's all good. And I love the fact that she was trying to get Tariq to bring flowers too. Like, imagine if there was 2 sets of flowers. Like, yo, he pulled up. And you know what I thought about? That I was like, yo, they're wildin'.
What?
Tariq still had lip gloss on his mouth.
Bruh!
And I was like,
okay.
fam, the minute I saw him.
And he tried to play him, talking about, oh, this is one of the kids that you tutor, the privileged children. And I'm like,
right.
I'm surprised Tariq didn't even say anything. He just sat in the back and took it while Lauren corrected him. But damn, it's like Tariq can't have anything.
Yeah, well, and you know what? Back to something that you said, I would actually contest that he's way freer than we think, because he's controlling his own destiny. But ironically, the minute he killed Ghost, he was free. And he even says that when they had that conversation about his dad, he's like, the last conversation I had was about him controlling me, and he's like, how'd you get him to back off? And he's like, he's dead. He got him to back off by shooting that motherfucker. Like, that's the wildest thing.
Huh? Like, that's why I think Tariq is mentally torn in terms of free, because yes, he is free of his dad, but mentally he still thinks of his dad a lot. Like when he's talking to his mom and he brings up the situation there, I think it eats at him more than we are seeing. And I also think he's not really that free, because all the money he could be taking in is going to making his mom free. So there's a lot of, dynamics with the word free, which is why I said that. But he's definitely better off now than he was when Ghost was alive.
Right. I mean, but that was also his choice because his mom told him, go live your life, go to school. He didn't have to do all of this. I mean, in the grand scheme of personal choice, not obligation to your family, in the grand scheme of personal choice, he didn't have to do it. But now that he's doing it, once again, he didn't have to link up with Monet and them. He just saw an opportunity because he feels like he can control it because I'm not going to miss my numbers. Because I know what happens when you miss your numbers. Because I was dealing with the mob, dogs. Like, let's talk about it. Like I was dealing with Italian mobsters. Y'all will be all right. Right, like it's like, I already know the game. Like, you know how many times I almost got killed? Like, you know what I'm saying? Y'all wasn't outside when I was kidnapped and Kata had to come free me. You know what I'm saying?
On the roof and Tommy tried to throw me over.
Right, you wasn't outside when Raymond Jones killed my sister and I had to go and kill him. Like, y'all wasn't outside. Like, yo, Tariq has been molded for this. So anything that he does is his own personal choice. Now that he's linked to them, right? Now it's a matter of how this stuff. That's why even when Tasha tells him to get a gun, he's like, yeah, I don't need a gun. I'm gonna be on back and forth in school, and he gets it from the stash house and everything like that. The multiple places where Ghost and Tommy had guns. He gets one of them just in case, but he also knows that, yo, I'm gonna be all right because I know how to maneuver this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Smart, bro.
Let's also talk about the philosopher Tariq having to drop knowledge on Lauren about options. Let's talk about options because they have that conversation. She's trying to call him and they're in class and he's like, I'm sorry, what happened? He's like, yo, you 18. He's like, I'm almost 18. You 18. Yo, we kids. You got a lot of options. Like, yo, I'm not taking an L in this contest and I'm not taking an L with you. But, I understand you got a lot of options and we going to live like that. Meanwhile, when she sees Diana blowing up his phone or Diane blowing up his phone, it's like, who's Diane? He's like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's options, it's like, yo, that hit me like the Olivia Pope Earn Me speech in Scandal. It hit me like the same way because the philosopher, the god Tariq had to let them know, like, yo, I am the prize. I am the prize. You got options, but just know I'm the best option. If you're not rolling with me, hey, it's fine because you know what? I'm a young kid. Like, yo, I got a drug empire. Like, this is extra credit, baby girl.
If you don't stop this, laugh,
listen,
this
real queen shit right there. That's real queen shit right there. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? When you come from the borough, you gotta let these women know, like it's options, bro. It's options. This isn't options aren't limited. You see my man come through the wave spinning. He ain't fucking around with y'all. Like, yo, options. Options.
You are doing he's doing the most right now. Y'all don't pay him no attention. But what I do know are those options are what's gonna get Tariq in trouble because he know damn well messing with Diana is gonna come back on his ass. That's the wrong move. We both know that.
But that might be the wrong move. But guess what? It's still an option.
Oh my God.
An option doesn't mean that you don't select, that you have to select. That means you have a choice. That's why Tariq has a choice. My African sister, my Haitian sister. That's why he has a choice. If you overstand the options that he has, then your option to believe in that brother will be secured. You can look like that all you want. You know what? It'll hit you later on in life.
This is why my generation of Haitian women don't want to marry Haitian men.
Well, that's also because they have a lot of y'all just want to be the first family. That's all you have to be is the first family. Like all the other families are taken care of, but when you're the first family, it's straight.
You guys, please.
What you mean?
I want y'all to blow up these mentions, please.
No, I'm just saying, like, you'll be taken care of.
Some sheen in his hair and think he doing something, y'all. Okay? Juices and berries and think he grown.
No, I'm just saying, like, yo, everybody's taken care of. I don't see what the problem is. The kids will meet eventually. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, here's your brother. Go play with your brother. It's like, oh, shit, I got a brother. That's what's up.
If it wasn't happening, I would literally hop on a plane, slap you, and get right back on it. Like you either
find out at a random party or at a funeral.
If this isn't the clip that that you use for promoting this podcast, I'm gonna be so upset because you have lost your mind.
Yo, I'm just saying, like, yo, we just have to
marry
talk.
Haitian men. Haitian men are the worst.
We're just talking about option, and you know what? That is your option. Exactly.
Oh, it's my option.
That is your option.
I did not marry a Haitian.
You already selected the option, so why we? And just remember, your son. What's your son? All right, let's talk about it. Yeah, don't wow me. It's facts.
You really gonna bring my child into this, Jeff?
You brought my mother's child into it. Well, look, I'm just turning up a little bit because, I want to say, I'll be serious for a second, ladies. Y'all won. Y'all been wanting to see Takal naked for like generations. Y'all won, yo. Y'all won. Y'all, the METHOD men.
The Vaseline on his booty. Who was in charge of putting the oil on? Because it was glistening.
Go ahead, rock out. Rock out. Go ahead. I turned up already. Go ahead.
Like, does my husband watch this? I'm gonna be in trouble.
You gotta ask him.
I'm gonna be in trouble.
Listen.
But I just said, whoever was the oil person had a good day. Because it was looking nice and tight and firm. It was right. But then we've seen this whole season thus far, Davis being this straightforward, shoot it from the cuff type guy. And he also is living a double life. He has secrets. He is essentially cheating on his wife with Paula. And now knowing that maybe there was a situation with Carrie too, he might have been cheating on his wife with Carrie too. We don't know. All I know is this man can't stay faithful. You know what I mean? Like, I need you to get it together, to the point where he almost forgot his ring. And she was like, yeah, if I was your wife, I wouldn't like that. So bring that ring home. So I really, the men will cheat. Okay. That's what, but my brain is like, why is Paula even allowing this for herself? She's a very smart woman. She's brilliant. She knows what it takes. She knows that Tariq's case is a lost cause, but at the same time sees something in him. That conversation that they had outside of his classroom door, I was like, she was looking a little bit too hard, if you know what I mean. Like, just there's something there that she wants to help him with that we're not sure of what that may be yet. But I found it interesting that she wanted the money wired. So she kind of almost went behind Davis's back with that, because he was like, money is money, it doesn't matter. And she was like, we need a paper trail. Like, so I'm wondering if there's even some more, problems that they're dealing with on the side, as far as, money and not having a money trail. What is it that they're hiding from? There's more to that story, I believe. But that scene was very nice. You see how I try to navigate away from it just in case he does watch. He won't want to.
He's just like, yo, did he leave yet? Back to Clifford, back to Clifford's body.
I was just so happy. I was like, wow, he's such a well-rounded actor. It was good to see him in that scene.
Well-rounded, huh? Heard you.
I mean, I'm just saying, he was glistening. It looked good for television.
I'm just saying, y'all won. You know what I'm saying? Power sex scenes back. As far as why she's doing it, we can figure out a whole plethora of reasons. Somebody who used to work in the financial district, I could tell you that probably that type of stuff was called Wednesday. But it was probably one of those situations where they work together and they just, that's how they let off steam or whatever have you. But the reason why they asked for the wire transfer is because Saxe has been trying to figure out how Tariq is paying for them. And since they're investigating that, they need to have it legitimized, so they, just in case they get audited and he tries to backdoor. And you see, I love, like, Saxe actually is using all the stops possible in order to keep on this case. Like, this week he's trying to prove that Saxe should be recused, kicked off the case, because he has an agenda, which he does. But when he finally when they bring Blanca back, it was, but we should have known from the previous Power that she was just as compromised as Saxe, if not more, because she brings up the phone that he took from the scene, and planted in James' room. He brings up Lindsay Proctor and Elise Proctor when he put the bug on and she found that, and then the Tate pressure, and when he basically coerced him to give that the confession, right? Then he flips it on her like, yo, you were there too. You didn't stop me. No, you did the same thing with Dre. You did the same thing.
Said that, I was like, oh.
When he said that, it was a wrap because Dre confessed. Dre confessed to see Ghost commit that murder, and then he was in jail at the time. He was across town, and he even says like a lot of that other stuff was conjecture because she can't say that she saw him do it. That's what she thought, and she ended up actually getting her shit messed up because that transcript's gonna be sent to her supervisor. So Saxe was able to do that, and then the last hammer was getting Tate when they subpoena Tate, and Tate thinks that he could get the DNC to like and them to get it away.
Yeah.
He ends up going on that stand. And not only does he throw Tasha under the bus saying that he got pressured, he makes it seem like James was a saint. That he tells the James St. Patrick lie. That he was actually a pillar of his community. He got out. He had some tough times, but now he's stand up and he was happy to work with him. And I love how Maclean pulls him. He's like, you a lying ass nigga. Like,
that was my favorite scene, bruh. Because that was so Method Man. We all know he was waiting to say that shit. He just grabbed him by the arm. You a lying ass nigga. Like, what is wrong with you? And then here comes Tate, and I'll be looking for your support. And I'm like, oh my God, that couldn't have been a more perfect scene. Like, right. I loved it. And I
love how that they're giving us little bits of Tate to probably build up for his solo. That's coming out. You know what I'm saying?
Also, like, I think now he knows I think Davis now knows it's a political thing. With Tate lying, he knows that there's more to it. So I hate that it's moving so slow for him to figure out that, they're making Tasha into this queen pin because of the DNC. But I think
he knows. He knows.
I think, but now the pieces are coming together. Like, okay, we know Tate is somehow involved in this. Why is Saxe pushing for this so hard? What is it? So I'm like how the pieces are coming together. But Saxe is like the best jackass in the history of damn TV. Like, he has a way of saying something and you're like, okay, that makes sense. And then turning it around and you're like, damn, he ain't shit. Like, Saxe is the worst. He is the worst.
The absolute worst. But they have one more. They have one more ace up their sleeve because they're going to be contacting Tamika, and you see how they keep the theme with the flowers, right? He sends this beautiful bouquet of flowers to Tamika, serves her some damn papers. You have been served to subpoena because he said who else knows all of Saxe's dirty secrets is the person that represented him. So now I'm thinking, are they going to try to get her to break her client attorney privilege to spill the beans on Saxe, which I don't know how legal that is, but there are methods, and she doesn't have any fealty to Saxe at all because Saxe basically backdoor threw her under the bus by getting her to represent Tasha so that all their stuff can be, swept under the rug. So it's going to be interesting to see where all of that goes and how she's going to be able to build the case. Because at this point, they're really trying to get Saxe out of here and build it as a political. That's the thing. Once you build it as like politically motivated, then you're too close to it. When you're too close to it, and his plan, as Maclean told Tariq, when Tariq pulled up on him and said, yo, I'm paying you money to have a fake trial. It's like, yo, we're going to try to get this back to local court. And once we could get it back to local court, I'm going to do my thing and it's going to be a wrap.
Yeah, you're going to get around. I just love Davis Maclean's character. I love how he's able to play all of these roles within one show. He's just so good at it. I'm just so happy with what they're doing with this. But I also think this may be a ploy, one more string to get Tamika to join their team too. They may have just enough to threaten her with putting her on the stand, but it may be a case of, well, instead of putting you on the stand and messing up your career, why don't you come and work for us to help us take down Saxe?
Right.
So could be either way. I don't care what way it is. I'm just happy to see Tamika back on the TV.
Yeah, and what you said about Paula was right. Like, it seems like she's trying to help Tariq. Like, yo, what is it? And she sees the gun. They both know he's up to some shady shit, but now that he's created the shady LLC to like wire the money, it's gonna be interesting to see how they go through it. Because I think Paula's one of the people who you can tell her and Maclean are like an awesome team that's been building what they have. And she doesn't want to squander that on a losable case, but you could tell that it's way more intricate than what, is being said. And I think she gets that too. She's really the only character that's like, yo, this, I don't know what the hell is going on, but this seems like everybody lying. We just need to know, our people need to tell us all the truth so that we can figure this out. Yeah,
I like Paula's character. I think she's very straightforward. A lot, almost like a Tamika, to be honest with you. They're both characters that don't want to be lied to. Just tell them the truth so they can figure out how to help you. I don't know if there's going to be a situation where Paula maybe had a child at one point. It just seems like she almost wants to mother Tariq. Just talk to me. Tell me what's going on so we can fix it. Not in a like domineering way. She just, it almost seemed like she cared, which is we've not seen from her at all this whole season. So I don't know.
That's real. Got a couple of tweets from a guy, Wade Watch. Said, which Power Stars book is going to be about Ghost and Tommy? I thought it was going to be the one named Ghost. That's Raising Kanan. I think that's the prequel with them all as kids in high school. So that's the one that I think is going to be about Ghost and Tommy as kids. He says also, if you play a drinking game and take a shot every time Mary cuss out one of the kids, you'll be feeling nice or fucked up most episodes. Yo, she definitely be coming. I hear you fucking talking.
Like, she loves saying shut the fuck up, and she always points at, yo, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm like, damn.
All right, Mom, chill.
If you working, they shut up.
But you know what? They also are wild reckless because they stay talking mad out in the open like mom ain't around. Like, she got the mom ears. She pops up. It's like they invoke her every time they speak about her. She's like, I hear y'all talking. And then walks in.
That happens when you become a mother. Like, you can smell everything and you can hear everything. Like, there's nothing that can be said. If I can see you, I can hear you.
Word. That's what it's telling you. The mom superpowers are undefeated. So that's it. I thought this was a dope episode. I had a good time watching it. Next week is the mid-season finale, so I don't know if they're gonna take a couple of weeks off after that or whatever. We'll know as the time comes by quicker. But I dug this episode and I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good, and we're inching closer to the middle and to the end of the season. So can't wait. It's gonna be good. And that does it. That does it for another episode of Power After Hours. Follow us on social at Power After Hours on Twitter. The hashtag Power After Hours is how we talk about the show when it's being out, whether it's at midnight or when it airs at its normal time, 8 or 9. I don't even know, like, at this point, because I don't be watching it at the normal time. But I think it's like 8 or 9 o'clock.
I think it's
8 o'clock, right? Yeah, 8 o'clock. Follow us on social. I'm Jeff J. Says on all social media. Krissy, where can they find you?
I'm Krissy Bree.
Krissy Bree Erwer. Krissy Bree Erwer. You can find her.
Stop with the fake accent. Just stop.
Says the woman who became British, Haitian British overnight.
Thank you guys for listening. Y'all have
Power After Hours Pod at gmail.com if you want to email us about the show too. And remember, it's an option to listen to this show, and we're glad that you selected this and listen with us every week. And until next time, we'll catch you later.
Peace.
I want you to sing it with me. They say this is a big rich town. Yeah. I just come from the poorest part. White light, city light, I gotta make it. This is where it goes. Yeah. I just have to